Hey YouTube, Desert Knife Guru. We're going to do a folding knife review today. Last week's review was on the Benchmade Griptilian H2O model. And this week's review is going to be on Spyderco Pacific Salt, with the H1 steel. So I got these pretty much at about the same time. And my idea was to kind of go head to head with these two knives. Do not necessarily a torture test, but basically treat them both the same. So everything that I did with the Griptilian, I did with the Pacific Salt. We'll talk about the knife a little bit, and then we'll go into specs. But this has got the H1 steel. The first one that I received in the mail, I purchased this. I got this the best price on this one. I got it from Amazon. And the first one I received from them, I opened it up. I took it out of the Spyderco box, and I noticed, you can see it on this one here, there was scratch right there down to the base, scratch right there down to the base, and then a scratch right here, and then a scratch right here. But I mean, this is brand new out of the box, so I was like, that's too weird. Well, I was taking a trip. I was going on a vacation, so I called them up. I said, hey, what's the deal? I got this brand new knife, and it's all scratched up before I could even use it. So they said, they were very apologetic, and they said, well, let's send one out to you, overnight it, so you could take it on your trip. I said, okay. So they sent one out, and the new one was all basically perfect. There was no marks on the blade. The other one maybe was just a fluke, I thought, but I was very concerned about the quality on that knife. From, I don't know, just sitting in the warehouse, being, stacked, the boxes being stacked up. I don't know what the deal was. But as you can see, this one actually has the same marks. The first thing that I'll pretty much tell you, the two things that concern me about this knife, and then we'll go from there. The tolerance when you close this knife is so close. You'll see the blade centering is perfect. Almost, basically the blade is almost rubbing on either side of the FRN handle scales. And that is basically why you're getting those marks. Just having it in your pocket, getting kind of pushed around inside your pocket, it actually is marking the blade on both sides. Now, let's say if you had a satin finished blade versus the DLC coated blade, maybe you won't notice the difference. But having the black blade, it definitely, you can see the marks that it makes. So definitely, one of the things I would say would be maybe a little bit more clearance in the handles. But basically, they're going for thin, lightweight blades. So with that very tight tolerance there, you are getting that blade to almost rub. I mean, it is perfectly centered. Not that they have much clearance there, but I mean, it's very well put together. So we'll talk. That's the first thing that I kind of have a complaint about. Second one is, I use this for prepping bait when I was fishing. Left it in the bait box. Everything that I did to the Griptilian, I went in the pool, chlorinated pools, freshwater pool. Used it a lot for food prep. Took it to barbecues, cutting packages open and cutting up carne asada and chicken, basically. I noticed I used a lot of this portion of the blade right here. I noticed that the edge actually rolled. Maybe if I was using a cutting board or something, but I wasn't. I was just cutting on maybe 2 or 3 paper plates. So it was a little harder surface, but I noticed that the actual blade was fairly soft. I looked up the Rockwell hardness on this, and it is 57 to 57, 58 is the Rockwell hardness on it. So it is a softer steel, that H1. DLC coating overall is excellent. You can't see where the actual cutting that I did with it. It didn't wear that coating at all. The only place where it wore is actually where it's actually rubbing on the handle scales. But it is a hollow ground blade. It actually has a great shape there. It's a traditional Spyderco shape. It has a 14 millimeter Spyderco hole. So it's very easy to get your thumb in there and deploy. I really dig that shape. Excellent Spyderco jimping there. So I mean, and the thumb ramp, it's just very well designed. The on this side, you'll see actually it says right there H1. Right there it says Spyderco H-1, and then on this side it says Seki City, Japan. On that side, so you know where these are made. Spyderco makes an excellent product, but I don't know. I think it has a few flaws. But you're sacrificing the hardness of the steel for that rust resistance. So maybe I should have got maybe a satin finish blade to kind of go head to head with the Griptilian, but I just like the way this that black blade looked. Very highly rust resistant, just an excellent blade. Very happy with it. Handle scales, FRN handle scales. They are adjustable pivot right there. You notice there's a lubricant mark right there on both sides. I did not touch the pivot whatsoever, but using it multiple times in water, it for some reason kind of tightened up. So when I was going for that one-hand deployment, it just didn't seem like it wanted to deploy too easily. So not to kind of mix up the review, but I have this Blue Lube lubricant by Benchmade, and I'll take the top off so it is. You can see that it actually is blue. But I actually put just a couple drops along the area here where the blade is. You'll see that some of it kind of oozes out. But it actually makes a difference. I didn't want to mess with the pivot because I was afraid of the centering on this knife. But I just put a couple drops there, and that way it just helps with the deployment of this knife. We'll go back to the handles. It's got a screw there holding the handle scales together, pivot point, adjustable, pocket clip. It's got kind of that native style pocket clip. Basically it's two position, tip up left hand, tip up right hand. You kind of have to use a flat-headed screwdriver or Phillips to stick it in there to loosen that up to remove the clip. Also doubles as where the lanyard hole is, which is kind of a standard. Could be a little larger, but it's enough to get a piece of 550 cord through if you'd like. With the actual marks on the blade, you can also tell, it's hard to tell here when you're using a flip camera, but there's actually marks right in this area right here. You can barely see it, where it is actually rubbing. Also back here where the back lock is, I don't know if I can catch it on the camera, but there's actually scratches along that DLC coating in that area too, indicating to me that the tolerance is there, the very small amount of tolerance is there. So it is actually rubbing the DLC coating off in all the real tight friction areas, which isn't a huge deal, but you know, I just think you have a little bit more clearance there. But the handle scales, I'll go kind of jumping around a little bit, but the handle scales are what they call a checkerboard pattern. They do have a few different bidirectional volcano grip. They're calling this a checkerboard pattern on the handle scales, which actually gives you really a great grip. Even with wet hands, you can actually get a really good hold. Very ergonomic handle. The only thing it doesn't have is a choil or too much of a ramp there for your index finger. But if you kind of choke back a little bit and you put your thumb up on the thumb ramp, it does give you an excellent secure grip even with wet hands. Great contours there. Very well designed knife. Specs. Let's go through the specs. This video, I don't want this video to be too long, but you're looking at a 3 15/16 of an inch blade. So it is a good sized blade. Overall length, a little over 8 inches in length. 4-inch handle. Very lightweight. 3 ounce overall weight. So very lightweight blade. No steel liners. What you can tell, has the back lock for support. No steel liners on the FRN on either side. So they definitely went bare bones, very lightweight on this knife, which is excellent. Have it in your pocket. You hardly even know that it is actually in there. Just a very well designed. Go back to the pocket clip a little bit. Great design on the pocket clip. Almost overbuilt, I think, a little bit. Great retention. Has a great coating on it. You can hardly tell. There's a few wear marks, but overall, it's been a very, very durable clip. I think that's about it. We'll let's lay out the grip chain. So you can see a comparison. But very similar traits between the two of them. The steels are going to be softer steels. They're taking out certain properties in the steels to make them very highly rust resistant, which takes away from the durability of the actual blade edge. I noticed that I kind of run this through a sharpener. It takes a little longer to bring the edge back, and then pretty much strop it because I'm not the best in the sharpening aspect, so I get burrs on there. So once you strop it afterwards, takes off those extra burrs and kind of finishes off the edge. So overall, I mean, besides the tolerances and the blade steel, I think it's an excellent choice, especially if you're going to be, maybe you live in Seattle or by the beach here in California, and I think a surfer or fisherman would be kind of an excellent thing. It seems like sharks are attacking more and people are doing crazy things, so you probably pretty much want to have some type of self-defense tool on you of some sort. But I don't know, overall I think this is an excellent choice. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. Phone doesn't ring all day, but when I'm doing a video, of course, it rings. But it's good news. My new Oakleys came in, so I'm pretty excited. I'm gonna go pick those up. But I think that's basically it for the Pacific Salt. If I pick up any more H1 knives, I think I'm just gonna get the satin blade. Get away from that DLC coating. Not that I I can't even speak now. That I baby my knives, but basically I keep them lubed up. I wipe the blades down with Tough Glide before I store them for any length of time, and just maintain your knives and they'll last forever. But any questions on this? Very happy. Very happy. Any questions on this? Let me know. And thanks for watching.